At my sister's engagement party, the table was set for 12, but there were 13 of us. Our uncle joked, "Someone's always extra." Everyone laughed. I looked around, smiled, and said, "Extras easily removed." I stood up, left without a scene. Hey everyone, before we dive in, I have a quick favor to ask. If you enjoy content like this, please hit the subscribe button. It's free, supports the channel, and ensures you never miss out on amazing videos. All right, let's get started. 40 minutes later, the lights dimmed, music stopped, and staff started packing up. The whole party fell apart. Our uncle raised his glass and laughed. "Someone's always extra." Everyone chuckled like it was just another harmless joke. I looked around the long table, linen napkins, champagne flutes, and a $1,000 cake. Everyone dressed up, pretending the past was buried beneath their fresh manicures and cufflinks. I smiled, but it wasn't the kind that reaches your eyes. "Extras easily removed," I said calmly, pushed back my chair, and walked out without a scene. No one followed. Not my mother, not my father, not even my sister, the woman whose engagement we were supposedly celebrating. 40 minutes later, I got a call from a panicked waiter I used to know from high school. "Hey man, what did you do? The party's falling apart." I asked what he meant. He said the staff had been told to pack up. The DJ left early, and someone cut the lights during the first dance. I just said, "Good," and hung up. What no one at that table knew, not even my sister with her white teeth and fake laugh, was that I planned this exit for months. Not because I wanted revenge, not because I was bitter, but because I was done being the family's convenient shadow. And it started way before the engagement. Before the $5,000 loan she never paid back. Before the mistaken post that cropped me out of a family photo. Before she looked me in the eye last Christmas and said, "You know, you're not really needed, right?" But I stayed silent. I played along. I paid the bills. I showed up when no one else would. I swallowed my pride like a good son, a good brother, until the night I was called extra. That word rang in my ears like a knife scraping glass. You see, extra is what they call someone they've already replaced. They just haven't told you yet. And the thing about being replaced is once you realize it, there's nothing left to lose. It didn't start with a betrayal. It started with, "Can you help? Just this once." The first time Emma asked me for money, she cried, said her rent was late, and she didn't want mom and dad to find out. She had just lost her job and needed a little breathing room. I wired her $1,200 that afternoon. She never mentioned it again. The second time she texted, "It's just $300. I'll pay you Friday." That Friday turned into the following month. That month turned into never. I never said no. That became the problem. I was the older brother, the fallback, the net beneath the family circus. I lived just far enough away to be forgotten, but close enough to call when the internet bill was due. When dad had his knee surgery and insurance didn't cover the better brace, I paid. When mom said she wanted to surprise Emma with a car upgrade for her birthday, I co-signed the lease. When their heat went out in January, it was my Venmo that buzzed at 2 a.m., and every single time, the response was the same. Silence, or worse, entitlement. At first, I told myself it was love, that this was what family did, that if I just kept giving, maybe they'd see me not as a resource, but as a person. I was wrong. The first real crack came when Emma got engaged. I found out on Instagram, a professionally edited video, her on a rooftop, fake surprised, while her fiancé knelt with a ring the size of my rent. Champagne popped, a drone circled, the caption read, "I said yes, can't wait to celebrate with those who matter most." I stared at it for 10 minutes, wondering if maybe I'd missed a call. I hadn't. The group chat exploded that night, not the one I was in, a different one. I only knew because mom accidentally forwarded a screenshot meant for the other thread, the one labeled Inner Circle. I wasn't in it. Then came the dinner. I was invited last minute to a small family thing at our aunt's. When I walked in, Emma made a face like I'd stepped on her wedding dress. "Oh, hey, didn't know you were coming." Our uncle poured wine and joked loudly. "We're 13 at the table. Someone's always extra." Everyone laughed. I didn't. I started noticing the money trail when I checked my credit card history. $2,800 for florals by Evie, $1,050 event space deposit, $600 custom cake design, all charges on a card I hadn't used in 6 months, a card I had given to my parents during the pandemic, just in case. I called the number on the charge sheet. "Hi, this is Jenna from Evie's Events. Is this the best number to confirm the rest of Emma's wedding flowers?" I didn't answer. I just hung up. 2 days later, I opened Facebook and saw my name, mentioned but not tagged. A distant cousin had commented on Emma's bridal shower photos, "Can't wait to meet your brother finally." Emma replied, "Oh, you won't. He's not involved in this part of my life, not invited, not wanted." But my bank statements begged to differ. The final straw, the group gift. A week before the engagement party, I got a cheerful email from my mother. "We're all chipping in for Emma's honeymoon surprise. Since you live far, I've put you down for $1,000. Just transfer it when you can. Love you." I didn't reply, but I didn't explode. Not yet. I watched, I collected, not files or audio, just screenshots, receipts, emails, real-time proof of how they saw me. Like the text from dad to Emma, "Don't worry, I told him he was working that weekend. He won't come." Like the message from Emma's fiancé to his friend, "Her brother's intense. Just don't bring him up." Her family says he's a drama magnet. Like mom's post, "So proud of our little girl. This wedding is for the family, the ones who were always there." And still, I kept paying until the engagement party. It was held at a vineyard just outside the city. linen tables, string lights, live music, a guest book station with a vintage typewriter. I drove up in silence, not because I had nothing to say, but because I was tired of saying it to people who weren't listening. The place was set for 12. I was number 13. Uncle, someone's always extra. Laughter. I scanned the table. Emma in white, Mom glowing, Dad already half drunk, friends, cousins, distant aunts, all smiling. No one looked at me. I smiled anyway. Extras easily removed, I said and stood up. I walked out. Not dramatically, not angrily, just done. 40 minutes later, the venue lost power. The DJ stopped mid-song. The staff said the payment authorization had failed. Something about a locked card and a flagged account. The champagne service stopped. The cake never made it to the table. The photographer packed up and left unpaid. And then someone checked the booking contract. It had been canceled. Not last minute, weeks ago. I didn't sabotage anything. I just turned off the tap. I was the one paying for it all. They just didn't notice. Or maybe they thought the money would keep flowing whether or not I was invited. But the moment I walked out, they lost more than a guest. They lost their wallet. They lost their silence. And they were about to lose a lot more. They bought the tickets like it was a peace offering. Front row seats to a sold-out match. Local team versus state rivals. The kind of game my dad used to brag about watching with real fans, not bandwagoners. The text came from my mom. Let's start fresh. We got everyone's seats. Just come watch the game, have a beer, no drama. We miss you. No drama. That was cute. I said yes. Not because I wanted to start fresh. I wanted to end things clean and loud. When I showed up at the gate, Emma was already posing with her stupid foam finger, taking selfies like nothing had happened. Mom wore her best, see, we're still a family smile. Dad handed me a hot dog like a bribe. Try to enjoy yourself, he said, already halfway back to his seat. I sat 2 chairs away from them, not out of pettiness, out of habit. Distance was the only thing that ever kept me sane. The first half of the game was a blur of shouting, bad beer, and plastic cheese. Dad yelled at the ref like he was the coach. Emma live-streamed her reactions with the caption, "Family night blessed." I didn't exist in her camera lens, but I waited because halftime was coming, and they couldn't run when the food lines were long and the crowd was thick. 15 minutes before the break, I stood up and said loud enough for all of them to hear, "Let's grab something to eat. I've got something to say." Dad looked confused. Mom stiffened. Emma rolled her eyes. We walked to the concessions. The air reeked of chili fries and stale ketchup. I picked a table near the corner, away from the noise but close enough for witnesses. And then I started talking. You wanted peace? You wanted to talk like a family? Fine, let's do that, but I'm not doing it your way anymore. Emma laughed through her straw. Is this going to be one of your speeches again? I pulled my phone from my pocket and tapped open a folder. See this? I flipped the screen toward them. $2,800 flowers, $1,050 venue deposit, $600 cake. Mom blinked. Dad opened his mouth, but nothing came out. All from my card, yours truly. The same card that was supposedly just for emergencies. Remember that, Mom? She stared at the table. I didn't even get an invitation, but you let me pay for the party. Dad tried. We didn't know. That's a lie, I cut in. You knew. You counted on me not checking. You counted on me always covering the cost and shutting up. I turned to Emma. And your Instagram bio still says self-made. But who paid your rent 6 months straight when you couldn't keep a job longer than a TikTok trend? Who bailed you out when your dumb crypto scam collapsed? Emma's face went pale. You don't have to be cruel. I'm not being cruel, I said, calm and clear. I'm being specific. I pulled up her fiancé's registry. Look familiar? Half these gifts shipped to your place, paid by me. You never thanked me. You never even asked. She opened her mouth to speak, but I was already turning the phone back to Dad. And this, I showed a screenshot of a group chat, his name, telling the others, don't invite him. He makes everything awkward. Awkward, I said, my voice rising. You mean the guy who paid for your last 3 vacations? The guy you always call when the car breaks down, but never when it's time to take a family photo? Dad's face flushed red. That was a joke. No, a joke is someone's always extra. I leaned forward. I was the one who made sure the bills were paid, the events happened, the smiles stayed on your faces, and the second I stopped handing out cash, I became a burden. An outsider. People had started to look. A woman in a jersey 2 tables down glanced up from her nachos. A kid in line turned his head, but I didn't care. I wanted the witnesses. You brought me here because you thought I'd behave, that I'd take the free ticket, sit quietly, and pretend everything's okay, but I'm not here to behave. Emma hissed. God, you're making a scene. No, I said, I'm making a record. I stood, lifted the phone to eye level, and hit send to all of them. Mom's phone buzzed. Dad's EMI notifications lit up like synchronized fireworks. What is this? Mom asked, tapping. It's your ledger, I said. A complete history of everything I paid for. Every time you asked, every time I said yes, and every time you pretended it never happened. I looked at them one by one. I've shut down the shared accounts, cut the automatic payments, the wedding expenses, gone. The apartment lease I co-signed, terminated, the utilities. You'll need to switch them to your names by Friday. Emma gasped. You can't just, I can, and I did. Dad slammed his soda down. You think money gives you the right to shame us? You think it makes you better than your own family? No, I said. I think lying to someone's face while spending their money makes you dishonest. And I'm done funding disrespect. Silence. Then Mom said softly, you'll regret this. I stared at her like I was seeing her for the first time. No, You'll regret testing the only person who ever kept this family from collapsing. I turned to leave. 1 step, 2, then stopped. Oh, and thanks for the ticket, I added. I'm keeping the seat, but from now on, I'll sit alone. I walked back into the stadium as the second half started. The crowd roared. I didn't look back. Somewhere behind me, they were still sitting at that sticky plastic table, holding phones full of evidence, bank statements, and the realization that their free ride was over. For the first time in years, I wasn't footing the bill. I was walking out clean. They didn't hear from me after the game. No texts, no calls, no drama. And that silence, it did more damage than any scream ever could. 3 days after I walked away from the stadium, I got my first email. Not from Emma, not from my mom, from my dad. Subject line, let's handle this like adults. Body, we realized you were upset. Emotions ran high. Let's not escalate. Let's talk. I didn't reply. I forwarded it to my lawyer. I didn't need to sue them. I just needed to remind them what would happen if I did. My lawyer, Noah, wasn't flashy. He was the kind of man who wore beige ties and said things like, let's resolve this efficiently. He drafted a 3-page packet, detailed bank records, payment confirmations, and a cover letter so cold it could have frostbitten bone. The attached documentation outlines the unauthorized use of Mr. My Last Name's finances, including but not limited to fraud, misrepresentation, and unjust enrichment. We are prepared to pursue recovery through formal legal means, should reimbursement not begin within 10 business days. He sent it to their home address. Certified. Signature required. They signed for it. I didn't hear anything for 5 more days. Then the money started coming in. First $300, then $1,100, then $8,600 lump sum marked partial repayment. Sorry for confusion. Confusion. I sent Noah a screenshot. He sent them a follow-up letter that same afternoon. Please be advised that the term partial is not applicable. The full amount is non-negotiable. Within 2 weeks, I received the rest. Every dollar I had spent on Emma's wedding. Every dime I had covered during Dad's rough months. All the utility bills, the rent payments, the groceries, the gifts, even the cupcake tower from her engagement party. They paid it all. No court order. No lawsuits. Just fear. Fear of what I might do if they didn't. They never admitted guilt. Not once. Emma sent me $2,000 with a 1-line note. Just trying to fix things. I refunded it. I had already received my deal. She wasn't buying her way out with guilt interest. Mom tried to soften it. Left a voicemail in that shaky, sad tone she used when Dad yelled too loud. Honey, can we just let this be behind us? The money's back. Can't we move forward? Forward? I played the message twice, then deleted it. She wanted to move forward from something she never even looked back at. I didn't leave town. I didn't change my number. I just changed one thing, my rules. No more favors, no more Sunday dinners, no more letting family be an excuse for theft, with a smile. When Emma texted a week later asking if I'd come to her birthday dinner, I replied, you already got your gift. It came with interest. She left it unread. They tried once more. A letter, this time from my father. Handwritten, 2 pages, neat cursive. The first line, I never meant for things to get this far. I stopped reading right there because they always mean to get away with it. They just never mean for you to notice. Now my life's quiet. Same apartment, same neighborhood, same cafe on 6th and Main, but no knocks on my door, no last-minute emergencies, no surprise Myath. Your invited texts with price tags attached. Sometimes I pass Emma's fiancé downtown. He sees me, looks away. Good, he should. One afternoon, I saw my mom outside the pharmacy. She turned to wave. I kept walking. They gave me my money back, but they'll never get me back. One night, I found a letter under my door. No stamp, just slid under like a coward's confession. No greeting, just one sentence. We all make mistakes, but we're still blood. I smiled just slightly and I wrote one sentence back, slid it under their door the next morning. Stick together. I'm out. I heard her before she knocked. Same hesitant steps on the stairs, a pause in front of the door, then 2 sharp knocks, the kind meant to be heard, not ignored. Emma always knocked, never rang. She knew I'd ignore a doorbell, but a knock was personal. It begged for presence. I opened the door. She stood there. No makeup, no rings, no armor, just a too small jacket and a look I recognized, the one she wore right before asking for something, before the manipulation kicked in. I'm not here to ask for money, she said. That's new, I replied. She didn't laugh. I came because I wanted you to think about it, about the wedding. What about it? I want you to be there. Silence. It's going to be a small one. No drama, just close family, and I'd like you to come. I didn't move. I know we messed up. I messed up, but I don't want my future kids growing up in a family that's broken. You're still my brother. No, I said. I was your bank until the account froze. She flinched. Not because the words hurt, but because they were true. I'm not proud of what happened, she added, but I'm trying to make things right. We can't undo the past, but maybe I cut her off. Your wedding already happened when you drained $4,200 from my card and signed the invoice under someone else's name. When you posted a family photo and cropped me out. When I stood at a table set for 12 and realized I was the 13th, the extra. She looked away. Now you show up with an invitation like it erases everything. I shook my head. You're not offering me peace. You're offering me the same silence again. I'm trying, she whispered. You didn't lose a brother, Emma. You just finally saw what he becomes when he stops being convenient. She stood still, lips pressed together. I walked to the closet, pulled out a blank white envelope, scribbled 4 words on the front with a black pen. Return to Cinder. I placed it on the table between us. That's my RSVP. Take it with you. She didn't touch it. She didn't touch anything. I just thought, she began, but couldn't finish. She walked to the door, put her hand on the handle, looked back once. If anything ever changes, you'll know where to find me. Exactly, I said. Behind me, when she was gone, I didn't shut the door right away. I just stood there, listening to her footsteps fade down the stairs. Then the sound of a car starting, then nothing. I picked up the envelope, slid it into my drawer, not as memory, as a reminder. The next day, I got a notification. Utilities for their apartment were no longer linked to my name. Then a bank alert. The debt owed had been fully repaid. 3 days later, a car loan I had co-signed years ago had been cleared and retitled. No more debts, no more strings, no more helping. On Sunday, I made coffee in silence. It was raining outside. I didn't think about her wedding. I didn't think about the past. I just sat there, breathing in peace that cost me years and was worth every second. That evening, I went to the post office and asked them to print a new label for my mailbox. Nothing fancy. Black letters. Plain font. No family requests accepted. They didn't lose me. They spent me, and now I'm bankrupt. Not in money, in tolerance. And for the first time in my life, I owe them nothing.